16th, 2020 Commissioners Meeting to order. We are joined again today by our veteran Don Bradley, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are also joined by our County Engineer John Kleinitz, who will lead us in the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You would join me in an attitude of prayer. Lord, we come to you today in troubled times as we approach the joyous holiday season and the end of a turbulent, challenging, and sometimes painful year. We ask that you strengthen us. Your people are mentally and physically troubled and challenged. We are hopeful for solutions for a better future. We ask for your strong leadership among us and ask for your guidance to all of us. Just as St. Francis prayed, Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, true faith. Where there is despair in life, let us bring hope. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there is sadness, ever joy. O Master, grant that we may never seek so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love with all of our soul. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Move on to item 4 on the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through E as listed below.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5.
Make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Fleet Management and Whitmoyer Auto Group, Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, for one Ford F-150 crew cab with emergency vehicle response equipment included for use by the York County District Attorney's Quick Response Team for a total cost of $53,975 under a PA CoStarz contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Fleet Management and Whitmoyer, Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, for one 2020 Chevrolet Traverse all-wheel drive with emergency equipment for use by the York County District Attorney's Detective Division for a total cost of $34,197.12 under a PA CoStarz contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Information Technology Services Division and CDWG, Chicago, Illinois, for 65 Dell laptops, docks, and a 3-year warranty for a total cost of $72,215.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Information Technology Services Department and Global Data Consultants, LLC, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, for 15 Microsoft Surface Books and a 3-year warranty for a total cost of $23,280.30 under a PA CoStarz contract.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and the Hahn Company, care of Tanner Furniture, for the purchase and installation of 2 new 80-inch high wall Hahn workstations for the Comptroller's Office Supervisors for a total cost of $17,545.10 under a CoStarz contract.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10.
I make a motion to purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Information Technology Services Department and Premier Com LLC, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, for Judicial Center Cisco network replacement switches, 9 switches and a 3-year warranty for a total cost of $45,640.05.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Information Services Department and Link Computer Corporation, Bellwood, Pennsylvania, for 2 Cisco telephone servers with a 5-year warranty for a total cost of $45,109.58.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and Lobar Associates, Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, for the purchase and installation of plexiglass in the courtrooms of 12 district court offices at a cost not to exceed $11,245, utilizing CARES funding.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and Lobar Associates, Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, for the placement of storefront at 4 counter areas in the Judicial Center for a total cost of $80,861.12, utilizing the KPM program.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Information Technology Services Department and Link Computer Corporation, Bellwood, Pennsylvania, for Cisco SmartNet hardware software maintenance for various networking equipment from December 10th, 2020 through December 31st, 2021, for a total cost of $30,674.90.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15.
I make a motion to approve the use of the Solid Waste Authority Fund in the amount of $210,625 to purchase 125 units of LifePak 1000 mobile automated external defibrillators at a unit cost of $1,685. These units will be provided to all eligible police departments of York County for placement in police department patrol vehicles.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, and Mark, the Solid Waste Authority Fund, I know we don't talk about it a lot, but maybe talk about how that fund is accumulated and then how the funds can be used.
Those funds are paid to the county by the Solid Waste Authority out of additional fees that are charged to out-of-county haulers. And they're unrestricted and can be used at the discretion of the Board of Commissioners for different projects that you deem fit.
Good.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Julie, I'd like to touch on that a little bit. This is one of the initiatives that I wanted to take on personally because of my background. Second of all, because the commissioners attended a SAVE ceremony at Pelham Township where a young lady, as a matter of fact, went into cardiac arrest. And if it wouldn't have been for the fact that the chief of police had an AED in his vehicle, that lady would not be alive today. She made it out of the hospital 100% recovered and back to normal. So my goal is to get every patrol vehicle an AED so that they're typically the first people that are on the scene even before the ambulance and the fire company gets there. So this gives every citizen who becomes sick like that an opportunity for a second chance at life. So I wanted to pursue this, and I thank my commissioners for supporting this.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 16.
Make a motion to approve, excuse me. I'll make a motion to approve a bid award between the County of York on behalf of the Public Works Department and Lauer Construction, York, Pennsylvania, for emergency repairs at Wallace Crossmill Historic Park to the roof and structure for a total amount of $19,850. This damage was from a large tree that fell in the building.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 17.
I make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Office of Conflict Counsel and the attorneys listed below to provide contracted attorney services for the York County mental health proceedings for a total cost of $22,000 each for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, and are Heather N. Orozco, Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, and John G. Bergdahl, York, Pennsylvania.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18.
Make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Human Resources Department and Midwest Employers Casualty Company, Chesterfield, Missouri, to provide excess workers' compensation insurance coverage for a total cost of $120,514 for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 19.
I make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York and the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, reaffirming our continued participation in the Unemployment Compensation Trust via an amended and restated agreement and declaration of trust dated June 30, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 20.
I'll make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Domestic Relations Department and Attorney Jeffrey Marshall, York, Pennsylvania, to provide Title 4D legal services for a total cost of $85 per hour for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Michelle, I guess maybe if you just define what Title 4D is so the public would know what we're paying for.
Yeah, Title IV requires the county to provide a child support program in the county. It also requires us to have an attorney who both represents the Domestic Relations Office and also helps to establish support and paternity. So it is a requirement.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 21.
Make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Comptroller's Office and Susquehanna Accounting and Consulting Solutions, Inc., Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to provide the county's 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 cost allocation plans for a total cost of $66,892.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Greg, you're here. Is this something we do these cost allocation plans
Yeah,
every year?
We have to do it every year, so we can
Okay.
distribute the cost among the various departments.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 22.
I make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Comptroller's Office and Zelenkoski Axelrod, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to provide auditing services for the county financial and single audit for the fiscal year 2020 for a total cost of $149,500.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 23.
I make a motion to approve a contract agreement amendment between the County of York on behalf of the Information Technologies Services Department and Tyler Technologies, Inc., Yarmouth, Maine, for change order to the implementation services. Implementation services were removed and other implementation services were added at no additional cost.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 24.
I make a motion to approve a contract agreement amendment between the County of York on behalf of the York County Prison and Global Tel, Inc., Reston, Virginia, for continuation of a month-to-month contracted services until the final agreement is established.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
And I just inform the public that the prison board actually reviewed this and made this recommendation to the board.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 25.
Motion to approve an agreement between the County of York on behalf of Facilities Management and Berkshire Systems Group, Inc., Reading, Pennsylvania, for the installation and programming to upgrade the county's existing card system, access system to Lennell's on-guard system. The buildings being upgraded are the Judicial Center, Administrative Center, Human Services Center, the Emergency Services Center, for a total cost of $115,613.60 under a CoStarz contract.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 26.
Motion to approve an agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Coroner's Office and Forensic Pathology Associates Health Networks Laboratory to provide routine autopsy services at a cost of $1,945 each, with some bundled toxicology services plus additional fees for testing beyond routine, if indicated, to take effect January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2022.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 27.
Motion to approve a mutual non-disclosure agreement between the County of York, Lit Communities LLC, and Catapult Engineering Incorporated, York County Economic Alliance, and Adams Electric Cooperative. This agreement covers proprietary information and data provided by Adams Electric Cooperative in the connection with the development, installation, and operations of the York County Broadband Project.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. I know Silas is here today. I'm sure he'll update us in a little bit on the broadband project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 28.
Motion to approve an addendum to a contract between the County of York and Lit Communications LLC and Catapult Engineering Incorporated for each party to indemnify the others for any breach or failure to comply with the non-disclosure agreement entered into with Adams Electric Cooperative by any of the parties.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 29.
Motion to approve a filing of an amended petition with the court to add Radgrosky and Long, PA, as special legal counsel for representation to the York County Employees Retirement Plan and the execution of a fee agreement with Radgrosky and Long, PA.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Michelle, is this just adding somebody to a list that's approved or what?
It is.
Yeah.
Correct. Did you want to?
Yeah, it's, these litigation firms, what they do is they look to see if there's any fraud in our pension program, and they'll go after these people, and it's no charge to the county, try to get us restitution for it. And we've, in the past, we have got quite a few of them resolved, so
Okay.
no charge.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 30.
Motion to appoint L.R. Kimball as the design engineer for the design of the hangar apron area at the York Airport, and to approve project-specific engineering agreement between the County of York and L.R. Kimball, contingent upon the consultant addressing any final comments from the PennDOT Bureau of Aviation at a no cost to the County of York.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 31.
Motion to approve a change order number 01-G to the contract with Keller Contracting LLC York for the Coroner's Morgue Project for construction of bulkheads to provide autopsy lights. Change order is in the amount of $4,009.63 and increases the contract price to $701,619.63.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second. Just a question for Mark. We're still with this change in the guidelines that were set forth by the commissioners, the budget? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 32.
Motion to approve change order number 02-E to the contract with Y Electric, Littlestown, Pennsylvania, for the Coroner's Morgue project to permit the manufacture, installation of autopsy lighting. The change order is in the amount of $5,657.69 and increases the contract price to $155,714.69.
I'll second motion.
I have a motion and a second, and just to confirm again, we're still within the budget. Okay, great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 33 on the agenda. That you were on, or do you want me to read it?
Recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the adoption of Resolution 2020-34, approving and adopting an amendment to the York County Comprehensive Plan presented by the York County Planning Commission.
Okay.
So just as Felicia's coming up here, I know Felicia's been in front of us before, so I'm sure those watching know who she is. And we're also joined by Silas Chamberlain from the Economic Alliance, who's going to share some thoughts today. So just at a high level, for those of you watching who may not be familiar with the County Comprehensive Plan, the York County Comprehensive Plan provides broad policy for how York County should grow, what we should preserve, and what we need to do to be a thriving community for all. It's a state requirement for all counties to have a comprehensive plan, but it's also a tool to turn a vision for a community improvement into action. The York County Planning Commission is the county agency that performs that work for the county commissioners on behalf of the community at large. Since it addresses so many facets of our community, the comprehensive plan is really a collection of plans that address different aspects of our community. Today, we're going to take a closer look at housing and community development, as well as the Economic Action Plan. In the Housing and Community Development Plan, Felicia is going to give an update on the plan that was developed back in 2009, if I'm correct. And I am also excited, the Economic Alliance was a key role in developing the Economic Action Plan, which falls underneath the Comprehensive Plan. And our previous approach to economic development planning was based on land use and infrastructure and clusters of existing businesses in our communities. Well, that approach has served us for a long time. Many of the major land use patterns and infrastructures are set in place. So we have a new updated approach that Silas is going to share today. So with that, I think, Felicia, you're up first.
Sure, thank you, and good morning, everybody. We are excited to present two significant pieces of the York County Comprehensive Plan for your review and hopeful adoption. As Commissioner Wheeler said, the Comprehensive Plan is broad policy for how we grow, how we develop, what we preserve. But beyond that broad policy, we delve into specific areas such as economic development and housing and community development. And even though the Planning Commission is the planning agency for the county, we can't do any of this work by ourselves, and we definitely can't do it in any kind of a vacuum. A lot of the work that we develop is based on a lot of research and statistics about the county. That's always kind of our bench line or our starting point. But we also work collaboratively with many different partners in the community. When we're developing policy, though, we're really guided by public input and stakeholder input. So we have a lot of professional planning expertise, whether it's our staff of the Economic Alliance, other agencies, consultants. But the final kind of guiding principle on our policy and where we go is really shaped by surveys, stakeholder input, focus groups. So I think today you'll hear a lot of good information, but we have to always keep in mind, and I hope everybody else does, that it's really plans for serving the needs of our community, which is our individual residents on a countywide basis. So I'm going to start with handing the podium over to Ann Walco, who is a senior planner on our staff, to provide the broad overview of the Housing and Community Development Plan. And then we'll turn it over to Silas Chamberlain from the Economic Alliance, and he'll provide a little bit more detail about the Economic Action Plan. And then we'll open it up for any questions and answers. Know that you'll hear bits and pieces of the process that we went through for these plans, but we also go through extensive public comment. public meetings, and today's public hearing. So there's a lot of other opportunities throughout the process for the public to weigh in, and that all leads us to the point that we're at today. So we'll turn it over to the presenters, and then we'll close, and we'll provide you the recommendation that the Planning Commission decided upon at their meeting yesterday. So I'll turn it over to Ann.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to be here today to tell you about our Housing and Community Development Plan. We have been working on this plan for about, it's a couple years, but it's culminated really with work that has been done within the last part of last year. So it's my pleasure to give you the highlights today. No. You did this. Okay. Apologies. Our plan is a complete update to our 2009 Housing and Community Development Plan, the plan that is before you. It fulfills all the requirements for the York County's requirements under the municipality's planning code. It addresses the housing needs for current and future residents of the county, and it also addresses our community facilities. This is a start with just some basic terms that I wanted to make sure everyone had a general understanding of before we proceed in the presentation. These were definitions adopted by the plan. It looks at housing as any structure that's suitable for residents, adequate housing, meaning housing that meets the needs of our current and future residents, housing choice, giving people options, and the community. This is the definition of community that we've been using. Like any good planning initiative and planning process, we have a vision and a purpose. The vision of this plan is to meet the needs, the diverse housing needs of our current and our future residents. We're looking at planning for future growth, including revitalization of our city, our boroughs, and our townships, and looking at protection of our natural resources, our agricultural resources, and our historic resources. The purpose of the plan is to meet the MPC requirements by providing a unified approach to housing and community development.
And could you just share with the folks watching what MPC stands for?
The Municipalities Planning Code. I'm very sorry, I should have said that. MPC is just our way we refer to it, but that is the guiding principles for comprehensive planning. As Felicia mentioned in her opening remarks, a big piece of the information that we used to develop this plan was a survey. We administered a survey back in March of 2019 to all of our municipalities and a wide list of community housing service providers. As a result, we had 24 responses from our municipalities and 77 organizational representatives responded, and we were able to identify our strengths as a community, our existing needs and challenges that we may be facing, and opportunities for emerging needs. So like they say, the survey says, these three columns sort of summarize all of the information that we use to really develop our thinking moving forward with our housing and community development plan. It identified the existing and future needs of housing. And in that first column, the print is somewhat small, but that's sort of like a data snapshot where we are today. Currently, there are 184,128 housing units in the county. A housing unit can be a single-family home, an apartment, a group home, anywhere where folks reside. I won't read all the information, but they are there for your information. It's good to know that's just, again, what Felicia had said. A lot of data goes into sort of a baseline for this. The survey pointed to the vulnerable needs of our population, and it came down to three populations in particular. Those in our community who are dealing with homelessness, those who are aging, and those who struggle to live independently for some other reason. And all of those issues sort of come together, looking at housing choice, what type of availability we have for housing, how fair is our housing, and are there any access issues that can be identified. Neighborhood and community development looks at all of these cogs in the system here. We're looking at the community development activities in our community, neighborhood desirability, and access to affordable housing. What it all boils down to is, regardless of your location, your income, or your age, safe, affordable, accessible housing gives a better quality of life. So that was really that's the main meat of it here. I will identify some of the neighborhood desirability characteristics that we talked a lot about and did a little bit of a deeper dive on. That's looking at our social and economic factors of our communities. What types of municipal services are offered? What's the rate of taxation? All of these types of factors that go into the social and economic issues facing a community. Also, the environmental factors. We looked a lot at our hazard mitigation plan, particularly in the area of flooding, and how persistent flooding can affect housing opportunities for folks that may be located near a floodplain. And also household environmental factors. A large one is lead. I think 25% of our housing stock was built prior to 1970. So that indicates that's an indication that there could be an issue with lead. So that's just one of the household environmental factors that was paid particular attention in this planning process. All of the priority needs were sort of summarized into three key subject areas, large subject areas: access, affordability, and community development. And where all of those things converge, come down to the primary focuses and the subsets of where we developed our actions. Senior housing needs, housing for criminal justice and mental health populations, and coordinated assessment and data sharing. So all of the access, affordability, and community development all touch on all of these other areas. So our plan to move forward with recommendations use that as a baseline. Our recommendations for access is to create safe and promote the creation of safe and affordable housing units, promote homeownership and meet safety needs, and increase our municipal and county capacity for the awareness of affordable housing. Specific actions identified in this were numerous, but a couple key ones that I will mention for you today is conducting a complete and updated inventory of properties that would be ripe for redevelopment in the county. Maybe partner with developers that build smaller, more affordable housing units and housing projects, promoting our home buyer assistance program and our home improvement program, and exploring employer-assisted housing programs. Our recommendations under affordability are to raise community awareness and support housing access through the removal of barriers. A key action item under this is to reframe the term affordable. Maybe a community awareness campaign. What does affordable housing mean? Making sure that our older parents and grandparents can remain in the community. Our young adults that have graduated from high school or college can remain in the community. Just rephrasing and re-engineering that term affordable. We also would continue to collect, analyze, and distribute data, looking at demographics, housing market data, and build out analyses when appropriate. Our recommendations under community development would be to connect sound housing and community development planning and residents' health to increase their overall quality of life. We made ties in this part of our plan to the WellSpan Community Health Improvement Plan, which looks at a numerous array of factors related to the community and how the quality of life is affected by the zip code in which you live. So it's very interesting information to look at. And under the community development specific actions, we will look at ways to explore how public health and community development can continue to work together, continuation of direction of funds, of block grant funds to the appropriate areas, and explore a county-wide approach to rehabilitation and redevelopment. So that concludes my remarks on the Housing and Community Development Program. I did want to be sure to include in my presentation another action item that we would be including in this, and that would be the resource components that would be deleted from the county comprehensive plan. We are looking at the community facilities, environmental resources inventory, growth trends, and natural areas inventory. Our county comprehensive plan is very voluminous. This information is still very useful and will be used as background information and updated as necessary, but we are making the recommendation to have those components removed from the comprehensive plan as part of the update. So with that,
Could you, just question, Ann,
Of
could you
course,
just
of
define,
course.
because I think when we all hear community facilities, we all may have a different perspective of what that means, but could you define it as it relates to
Community Facilities Report looks at simply that, the infrastructure of our community, our public services, our emergency services, the schools. It's a very interesting resource report that we have, but unfortunately, as soon as we publish a document like that, the information quickly goes out of date. So that's largely why we've decided to keep the information current and on our website, just removing it as an adopted portion of our county comprehensive plan. So it is a good place to look if you're looking at what ambulance company might cover your municipality, what schools are involved in your school district, what public water and public sewer coverages are. So it's just a very good document that gives very holistic information about a lot of resources and facilities in the county. So with that, I don't know if there's any other specific questions about the housing plan, and if not, I'd love to turn it over to Silas to hear our economic alliance plan. Thank you.
A little too eager.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners, and thanks to Ann and Felicia. I get the opportunity to talk about the culmination of about 10 months of work on our new economic action plan for York County. We've been working on this for what feels like a long time, in part because COVID has materialized in the meantime, and I'll show you a timeline in just a second. But first, I just want to remind you that this is exciting because I know Felicia has a good line about how something like an idea without a plan is just a dream. But we also have this sort of cheerleading line that we use with our board of directors about how planning is actually exciting and fun. And I'm sure that maybe resonates with you guys too. But, you know, it's worth saying that this is exciting. It's not every day you get to cast a vision for the next 10 years of economic development in your county, work with the community to come up with ideas and really flesh them out and get everybody's perspectives into a plan. This plan is also the first time that we've worked really closely, not just between the Planning Commission and the Economic Alliance, but also with the City of York and our downtown, and trying to align all the economic actors in our county. We have, despite COVID, engaged more than 1,000 people in this process. We had a core group of about 150 to 200 people that participated in work groups, steering committees, stakeholder meetings, and then hundreds of people that took public surveys and participated in briefings and things like that. And in the process, we already were working with Fourth Economy, our consultant on this, when COVID really started to lead to some business restrictions, and we were able to take some of the economic data from this plan and use it to inform the county's response on the impact of small businesses in York County and the economic impact of COVID. So for this component of the plan, we're very grateful to have had the funding of the Powder Mill Foundation, the Community Foundation, the Wareheim Foundation, and of course the commissioners, so that we were able to bring in a consultant, Fourth Economy, to help lead us through this process, which, as you can see, began back in November of 2019 with the establishment of a steering committee with a bunch of great individuals that represent a variety of backgrounds in the county. Really started to move into its public phase in March, which is right around the time that we were pivoting everything virtually. And so a lot of what you see, the interviews, the working groups, the surveys, the build sessions, all occurred via virtual tools, which actually was a great way to probably engage more people than would have showed up to some public meetings. So we had some great conversations, even though it was online. And you can see now that we're here in December, we're moving towards final approval of the plan. As I said, we engaged a lot of folks through websites, a public survey, key stakeholder interviews, and build sessions, which were really twofold. The first session was with folks to talk about sort of a wide range of ideas, almost like brainstorming sessions. And then the build sessions were how do you take all those great ideas and really flesh them out and come up with something implementable. Again, just like the other component, we have a vision that York County will become known throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, really for its economic prosperity, and the goal that York County stakeholders will work together around equitable pathways to get there. Some other goals that we set for ourselves that, you won't see necessarily explicitly in the plan, but they were things that we were hoping to achieve, were again that idea of alignment. We have a lot of, obviously, political subdivisions within York County, for better or worse, 72 different municipalities. We have a number of economic organizations trying to do different kinds of economic development work at different levels. This plan is really an attempt to align them and have one strategic plan that we all work from together. We also didn't want this plan just to be about doing everything we do already, but just make it slightly better and see incremental change. We're open to systems change around things like workforce development, really rethinking how we do that around our entrepreneurial ecosystem and what resources are available, and truly trying to make some changes that'll lead to tangible economic progress. And then the final goal there, which you'll see woven throughout, is economic opportunity and mobility, the idea that everybody should have access to a well-paying job and economic capital. So we organized the plan around three guiding themes. These are really the categories that you'll see in the plan: creating opportunities for all, enhancing York County's sense of place, and fueling the engines of prosperity. And we'll show you some details from those in a second. We also have three foundational principles, and throughout the plan, these foundational principles appear so that we're tagging our goals and our tactics with these principles and sort of holding ourselves accountable to them. But first and foremost was that idea of equity, access, and inclusion, communication and information sharing, and then collaboration. We have seven focus areas within the plan. Each one of these had a working group and co-chairs to help lead the work. The future of industry, which looks at our economy today and where it's going in the future. Workforce development, which in the last several years has become really an important part of the Economic Alliance's work, and this talks a lot about how we advance our pathways to prosperity work. Entrepreneurship, again, how do we empower people to grow a business in York County or come to York County to grow a business? Equity and economic mobility, how do we remove barriers to employment but also give people access to capital? Quality of place was a relatively new concept. It was definitely in our last 10-year plan, but it's been elevated to one of our major categories, the idea that the quality of life in York County, from our open space, our small towns, our arts and cultural amenities, our parks and trails, all is part of our economic strategy and economic drivers. Infrastructure in the built environment, which I think is pretty straightforward, but that's sort of the important bones of how you really create the context for economic development. And then the rural economy. And we actually spent a lot of time talking about that, had a specific working group on the rural economy, and you can see ideas around small towns, the advancement of broadband countywide, and our agricultural community. So I won't go through all these strategies in detail. They're, of course, available in the plan. I just want to show you some key data points for each one of these, because I think they help explain why we've focused on them. So the first is equity and inclusion. And in York County, we have a gap in minority-owned businesses compared to the rest of Pennsylvania and compared to the rest of the country. And so a lot of our strategies are focused around making sure that everybody has access to capital, to technical assistance, that our businesses and our boards reflect the diversity of the county, and that all of that adds up to more minority businesses opening and thriving in York County. For workforce and economic mobility, we had a lot of great conversations, but it really boils down to how do we have more York County residents earning a living wage? We can have full employment, but if those jobs aren't giving people a wage that lifts them out of poverty, then we're not really achieving what we want to achieve. And then that leads to what kind of businesses we're trying to attract and build in York County. And obviously, we want those businesses that create opportunities for folks to earn that living wage. The future of industry. We obviously do a lot of business attraction and retention as part of our work, but this plan really emphasizes business retention because all the data tells us that keeping businesses that are already here and helping them expand is a much more powerful tool than even attracting new businesses. So we have a lot of strategies around how we can keep businesses here, how we can help adapt to generational changes where somebody's ready to retire and they sell their business to somebody that wants to keep it active in York County, or they sell it to their employees so that they can keep it active in York County, and keep our business retention very strong. Entrepreneurs and small business, we see this as a real opportunity because our business birth rate in York County is fairly strong, but it still falls behind the rest of Pennsylvania and the rest of the country. And we looked at some data that said even if we created 50 new businesses a year, which when you look overall, that's not a huge, that's not out of reach. That can really move the needle on this metric so that we are much more competitive. So we have a variety of tactics in the plan to deal with entrepreneurship, including ideas around new sources of private capital that can be invested into small businesses. Again, quality of place, I think, speaks for itself, but it's really the idea of improving the assets that we already have, making people aware that they're there, using them in our talent attraction strategies so that people want to move to York County because of the quality of life that they can have, and then making sure no matter where you're at in the county, if you're in a small borough, if you're in a rural area, you still have access to services and to all the assets you need to have a high quality of life. And then the rural economy focuses on several things, but one of them is broadband internet. I know commissioners are well aware of this, but the statistics do show that there's a great need for closing the digital divide in York County. It's not just a rural issue, although it clearly is a rural issue. It's also an urban issue in terms of affordability and access. So our strategy does call for addressing broadband access, and I think the countywide assessment the commissioners are creating right now will provide a blueprint for that work. And then finally, the infrastructure and built environment. We talk a lot here, very similar to the last component that you just heard about, how to redevelop our smaller communities, how to make it clear to people that want to invest in York County what development opportunities are available, and really create a network of people that are sharing information across the county with one another so that nobody is left out of these development opportunities. There's also a lot of opportunities in here for connections to other components of the comprehensive plan as well. So that's a whirlwind of about a year of work and lots of people engaged. And thanks again to the Planning Commission for their partnership and the City of York for their partnership as well. And of course, the commissioners for your support. So I think we'll take questions for on either component.
Are you asking for overall questions now from? Okay, I probably have two. One on the housing, and you may not have this answer, but I know I get the question a lot. And we talk a lot about redevelopment of facilities, and I always think back to where I grew up in West Manchester Township, the old Delco Plaza, and then it went dead for a whole number of years, and now it's very active and redeveloped, and we have a Lowe's and restaurants and things like that. And there were a lot of community buildings throughout the county, and I think down in Stewartstown, we did a project for senior housing, and we did the apartments in West York Borough, and we did some things up in Hanover with the McAllister Hotel and things like that. I guess when you look at housing and the need for housing and for seniors and for, low income and stuff, how much money do we actually get, like from HUD and other things that we can work not only with the county but with private developers to continue providing those kind of facilities for York County residents?
I can't give you.
I don't know.
Well,
I know
can
there's
give
not a
you
number,
trend.
but
I can give you a trend.
Yeah.
And probably how far back I go will let you know how old I am. But so if you think back to the other thing that's important to think about with this Housing and Community Development Plan, it's an update of the 2009 plan. And if you think about what was happening in 2009, our housing market was coming unglued. I mean, it was really sinking. So prior to that, the county was receiving about $1 million a year in federal funding specifically to develop affordable housing. Now, there's other community development block grant funding, but that can support that, but the dollars specifically targeted to leveraging private investment for affordable housing just prior to 2008 was about $1 million. Now, that is money that is part of the federal budget. So when the economic crisis hit of 2008, it sank to about $500,000. So for the longest time, we were digging our hole out of that downturn in the economy. The county was getting about $500,000, and we were struggling to find developers that were still active in affordable housing. And if they were active, their projects that they needed gap funding from the county for was more than $500,000. So we struggled for a number of years to get that active development interest. At the same time we were getting, digging out of that hole, we were also getting additional funding through the federal budget. It slowly worked its way back up. We are just shy of $1 million now in our home funding for affordable housing again. So it took, all of that time for the federal funding to be restored. And we are still very active in trying to take some of those community assets. The most recent one we had was the old cigar factory in Dallastown Borough that is going through the process to become affordable senior housing called Lombard Commons. So had a downturn, we're coming back out of it. Does that help?
yeah. I mean, just, people ask what the opportunities are and
They're there.
private developers and things. And my only other question is, I'm sure this is an easy answer, but for anybody watching in the public who, if we pass this plan, would like to look at it, is it on your website, our website, or?
It will be on the County Planning Commission website, www.ycpc.org. And we'll have a banner that announces if it's adopted, that it was adopted. And then we'll also show you how to go specifically to the report to, if you want to dig into the nuts and bolts.
Right.
Yeah.
Any further comment from the public? Okay, so I think we can reconvene.
Convene.
Okay.
Okay, 35, motion to adopt Resolution 2020-34, approving and adopting an amendment to the York County Comprehensive Plan that includes a complete update to the 2009 Housing and Community Development Plan component dated December 2020, a new Economic Action Plan component dated December 2020 that replaces the 2014 Economic Development Plan, and deletion of the resource components, community facilities, environmental resources inventory, growth trends, and natural areas inventory.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Before we take a vote, I would just want to share some thoughts on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we want to thank you all, and we really appreciate what the York County Planning Commission, the York County Economic Alliance, the City of York for its partnership. I think as I read the documents, collaboration rings through loud and clear in these documents. So definitely the Board of Commissioners want to thank you for your contributions. And, for those watching, while you saw just a little piece of their work, it definitely should not go understated that to pull this off is quite a feat. And to pull it off in a time period where we have a lot of dynamic things going on in our community right now. So it was a big accomplishment, and we thank you. There were a few highlights, and specifically around the Economic Action Plan, because you guys took a different approach this year, which is great. Collaboration is clearly a theme throughout the plan, and I think that we all know that we are stronger together, and that's a great thing. And to accomplish any success from these plans is going to take partnerships. And I think that's the other thing that you all have demonstrated throughout this is the partnerships and how important that is to the planning process. And I think that, you guys have done a great job of looking at York County holistically. And we certainly, the Board of Commissioners recognize that we have a very diverse population here in our community and that, our population is growing and we need to do our best to attract people to want to stay here. And that's folks from all different backgrounds. And I think it's really important to make decisions based on data. And I think that both organizations have spent a lot of time collecting data. And thank you. We know there's roughly 1,000 York County residents who've participated in surveys. And we certainly appreciate you taking the time to give the Planning Commission and the Economic Alliance your candid feedback, because we are really doing this for the community. So thank you for those who participated by taking your time to do that. And it also rings loud and clear that a big pillar in your plans is around economic equity and making sure we have upward mobility for all of our residents here in the community. And I think that's great to see that. And I think Felicia gets the prize for talking about planning, because planning is a roadmap and planning can be fun. So I just, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, really wanted to thank you all for what you did and the work you've done, especially during a year where we've had COVID and have had to pivot a lot of times on how we work together. So again, thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Ann, Silas, Kevin, and I know that he's not here, but if he's watching, we do want a special thanks to Mike Pritchard, who is York City's planner. So we also thank him for collaborating on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. And great work that you've done for the 450,000 people that live in our community. So again, just on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, thank you all for what you guys have put together. So if there's no further questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 36.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2020-35 and a master reimbursement agreement. Work order number 1 is a contract for the project management and administration required for implementation of YAMPO's congestion management process traffic signal timing project. The notice to proceed for this work order is dated December 2017. Letter amendment number 2 for this work order amends and updates subparagraph 3, scope of service. The scope of service amendment involves a requested increase of the total budget amount for this work order from $65,144.72 to $137,363.67. YCPC staffing changes for this work order are also addressed for the scope of service. The time period for work order number 1 to be extended from the original 48 months to a total duration of 92 months, ending August 14th, 2025. The August 14th, 2025 termination date matches the end date of the master reimbursement agreement, which captures this work order. Wow, what a mouthful.
I'll second the motion.
Boy.
You got both long motions this week. I just, since you're here, Felicia, we'll give you an opportunity if you want to share any comments.
Can you
before we
summarize
vote.
it a little? I mean, it's.
I will say that this motion was drafted by one of our most diligent and thorough transportation planning staff members. So it is very thorough, and it covers a couple of different things. And I believe I mentioned at one of our prior meetings when we had another amendment, we have a very interesting project going on with PennDOT and a consultant, Pannoni and Associates, in our municipalities that have congested corridors with a lot of signals on them. A lot of times the signals were installed a number of years ago when traffic conditions were different. Now the timing of those signals needs to be updated so we can wring out as much capacity as we can. from those roadways before we invest dollars in hard improvements to the roadways. The work was so new, we weren't sure how long it was going to take, how much it was going to cost. So we entered into these reimbursement agreements. At this point, what we're doing is expanding the budget, which comes out of an agreement with PennDOT out of our transportation improvement funds. And it also extends the time frame to get the work done. So it's really taking references back to the original agreements, expanding the budget, and expanding the time frame to work with all of the municipalities to do that work.
So the municipalities have the opportunity to ask for a time management study of their traffic lights and facilities in their different municipalities.
So we've already, based on data, which I know you so love, so based on data, we've analyzed where the most congested corridors are. So we already have a prioritized list, and we're working down that list with municipalities if they're interested in working through this, because they do bear some costs. If there's repairs that need to be made to their system before we do the analysis, they're responsible for those repairs. So sometimes municipalities are like, I don't know if we have the funding to do that right away. Can you skip over us and maybe come back? But we do have a prioritized list. It's not just an open invitation.
So they pay a portion of the cost of the study?
They don't pay anything for the study, but if they have existing
Implementation.
Repairs that need to be made, they have to make those first before we'll go any further in the study. And Ron, you're familiar with that from the NPO.
And I guess my only question is, it's being extended for 4 more years to 2025?
Yes. It takes a while to go through those processes. And if you want to work down the list, there's a lot of permits that need to be updated, and there's repair or improvements that need to be made to the signal timing. So that process just takes time.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 37.
Motion to adopt the 2021 York County budget with no tax increase, which represents 5.9 mils for real estate tax and includes 1/10 of a mil for land preservation and 9/10 of a mil for dedicated library tax. General fund budget, $236,332,313. Special revenue funds budget, $312,535,969. Fiduciary funds budget, $67,261,580. Liquid fuels tax fund budget, $11,226,257 for a grand total of $627,356,119.
Just one minor correction. It's 9/100ths of a mil
Thank
for
you,
dedicated
Mark.
library tax.
I knew I messed
I
that
know
one
the
up. when you
library
said it.
would love to have 9/10
Yes, I'm
of a
sorry.
mil.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. I tried, Robert.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. We did have this open for 30 days. I know Mark mentioned it at the last meeting, but a lot of people had input into this. Tom Hoover, Mark Durr, Christy Bixler, a lot of folks. And just on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, thank you. And it's great to have balanced budget going into 2021. So, any comments you're all good? Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 38.
Motion to approve the tax refund register 2020-21, authorizing payment of York County real estate tax refunds totaling $691.07.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 39.
Motion to approve tax refund register 2020-22, authorizing payment of York County real estate tax refunds totaling $1,538.57.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 40.
Motion to approve tax refund register 2020-23, authorizing payment of York County real estate tax refunds totaling $765.02.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 41.
Motion to approve the check register for the week of December 9th, 2020, totaling $6,592,773.13.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 42.
Motion to approve the check register for the week of December 16th, 2020, totaling $12,234,772.86.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mark, was this some CARES money going out?
Yes,
Okay,
about
thank you.
3.6 million.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No executive sessions between last meeting and this meeting. Other business, I know Silas is here to give us an update on broadband.
All right, thanks. So we continue to work on finishing out the broadband pilot project. Yesterday, there were 20,000 feet of fiber pulled through conduit, so you now have fiber in the ground, which is a great place to be, with an estimate that by the end of the year, there'll be 60,000 feet of fiber in the ground, so that's roughly just over 11 miles. The conduit, which has been under there for 20 years, is actually in great condition. So I know we've said it before, but the foresight of people who were here 20 years ago to put that infrastructure in place have really allowed this project to move forward. There's a site that's been established at Hanover Junction, adjacent to the county's building, where the mobile wireless antenna will go, and that'll be the infrastructure that allows you to demonstrate that the line is functional, and that is on its way here. And I was just down there to check it out yesterday, and there's the conduit goes under the grass and comes right out there, so they're all set to plug it in when it comes. Right now, we're looking at how to go even further south, and originally looking at the timeline and thinking that, probably the Glen Rock area would be as far as we could get. And because of the condition of the conduit and the speed at which they're moving, are actually looking at that final connection into New Freedom now. And have had C.S. Davidson working with us on that, and thanks to John and his team, have, again, looked at that section and don't see a lot of major issues with it. So we're going to continue working up probably to the very last day of this year, but are in great condition to meet the terms of the CARES Act. The only hiccup that we're working through right now is just on the northern end with the alignment with the Genesee and Wyoming Railroad, working through their process, but they've been responsive in the last few days to that, and seems like that connection will be made as well. So lots of great progress, and the only wrinkle now is a foot of snow may be coming, but Henkels and McCoy has taken the action to go out and mark the handhole locations, the vaults, with cones, so that if we get just a little bit of snow, they'll be able to go out and find them right away and get back to work on pulling fiber. So definitely a whole team's on board with continuing to just push forward even through the holidays. And then the other exciting thing is that this week we should receive a final draft for review of the countywide assessment of broadband. So just to remind folks watching at home, that's a study of the entire county, where connection currently exists, where it does not, what broadband infrastructure is in place and how we can leverage that, and then where there needs to be what they call middle mile filled in, which will be the sort of core infrastructure that the private sector then can build off of, and it provides financial projections for what that costs, potential grants, financing, pretty much, a bunch of different scenarios for how that can come to fruition. And as I said, when I was talking about the economic action plan, really it becomes a sort of a strategic plan for how to move forward with broadband in the future, in partnership with the private sector, state government, federal government, whoever we can get on board with supporting that. So on both fronts, seems like Lit and Catapult, your consultants, have really been moving forward and delivering here in the last couple weeks. So we'll provide another update, of course, in how we're closing out things for the end of the year, but it seems to be in good shape.
Outstanding news. We know it was an aggressive time frame, and I think your comment was spot on. The foresight of the people who were here 20 years ago to run that conduit has proved very beneficial. So if any of them are watching or around, we have to say thank you to them. So 11 miles of fiber is a big deal. So
Right. Yep.
thanks.
Thank you.
The other thing under other business, just wanted to share on behalf of our colleagues at Emergency Management. We know that snow is in all likelihood on the way. We can't see out the windows here, but maybe it has started to snow already. So just a few reminders from our friends at Emergency Management. Certainly avoid any unnecessary travel. And if you don't need to travel, please do stay indoors. If you do need to go out, make sure you dress warmly. Please do listen to emergency information and alerts. Please visit the York County Emergency Management Twitter site and Facebook sites for the most up-to-date information from the county, as well as following whatever your favorite weather outlet is for storm information. Two things for folks that do go outside, please keep in mind hypothermia and frostbite. And real quick, for those of you who might not be familiar with frostbite, frostbite is when you lose the feelings and your fingers or toes become numb. So certainly if you experience those signs, go to a warm room, soak in warm water, not hot water, and do not massage or use a heating pad. And hypothermia is when your body experiences an unusually low body temperature. Typically, if you're below 95 degrees, that signifies hypothermia. You may shiver, you may have a little confusion. Again, much like with frostbite, make sure you go into a warm room and warm the center of your body first. And we all know we're still living in a world of COVID, and for those of you who are able to, please check on your neighbors and make sure that they are okay, following the guidelines set forth by the CDC in regards to wearing a mask and proper social distancing. And the last tip is you can certainly visit ready.gov for other tips and information. But the York County Emergency Management Team is engaged and is tracking the storm. And again, you can visit their Twitter site and Facebook site for up-to-date information. So with that, any other public comment? Oh, no, any other CARES items? Apologize.
Yeah, we have one more motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve contract change order number 1 from Lit Communities for a $15,000 increase in the contract price on authorized signature of the President Commissioner for the final design, engineering, and project management for a fiber and wireless pilot project on the Heritage Rail Trail.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Hoke, for the reminder. Any additional business? Open it up for public comment. If I could have a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. And moving on to Salary Board.
I'll make a motion to approve the positions, salaries, hours of work, and fringe benefits as provided by existing collective bargaining agreements or as set forth in the York County Employee Handbook or York County Policy Manual for the following departments and row offices with no additional benefits or concessions unless otherwise noted as stated in the internal salary board detail. Department 17, Information Services, Department 23, Conservation District, Department 39, Prison, Department 57, Public Defender, Department 66, District Justice Office Staff, Department 70, Emergency 911, Department 72, Veterans Affairs, Department 74, Parks, Department 79, Area Agency on Aging, and Department 93, Penn State Co-op Extension, and the row officers are Department 15, Recorder of Deeds, and Department 54, District Attorney.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned, and moving on to the Retirement Board.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on November 18th, 2020 as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 3.
I make a motion to include the following vested individuals on the monthly annuity payment list as listed below: Deborah A. Owen Kilburn, prison; Paul M. Schmoll, PANRAC.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to include the following individuals on the monthly annuity payment list as listed below: Kathy E. Holes, Sheriff; Constance I. Schmolzer, Penn State Extension; Shirley L. Schultz, Adult Probation; Barbara A. Zinn, Human Resources.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to retain the annual interest rate of 4% on individual employee contributions for the year 2021.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
There were no executive sessions since the last time?
I'll open it up for any public comment. Hearing none, if I get a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. For those of you that hung with us for the hour and 15 minutes, thank you so much, and be safe and be well.